Spiritual sex and candy, yeah.
Hello, gorgeous beings. Welcome to Spiritual Sex and Candy, episode 5. I am Heather, your Shamanic Sweetener, and my co-host, JP Adkins, your Freedom Jedi. Hey, Jeff, what's up? Like, Jeff's all quiet over there, and I'm talking to him.
Yeah,
we're kind of a hot
I'm getting
mess.
like a weird reverb. So, like, I'm getting.
Just got to figure out his stuff here.
Give me a second. Let's see if this helps. Okay.
Is that better? You could turn the music down a little bit.
Is this better?
No. You're the one that had the reverb, not me. Is it the music? Maybe shut the music off. Does that make a difference? Jeff is having technical difficulties at the moment.
I am having technical difficulties, definitely. Give me 1 second.
This is what happens when you do a live podcast.
It is.
Stuff happens. Shit happens. Well, okay, so we're going to talk today. I'll just talk. It is episode 5, which means we're about halfway through the season, I believe. I don't know how many episodes we're doing. Maybe we're a third of the way. I don't know. We haven't decided yet. But it is episode 5, and it is Sacred Scars and Soulgasms. Owning your darkness to spark spiritual awareness. You know, spirituality and spiritual awakenings have been all over the place, right? They're all over social media. People are talking about it. I guess if you're in that realm, which I am, I see stuff about it all the time. So we're going to talk about that today. Hi, welcome back.
Thanks. I realized what it was.
Right on.
Are you ready to realize it?
Of course I am. What's up?
I had the show open in another tab.
Oh.
So I was getting like this weird reverb because it's like a 30-second delay.
Right. So that's what happens when you...
I'm doing all the things to do all the things.
Doing all the things and have 30 tabs open on your web browser.
There you go. You can have your music back.
You want to turn it down just a little bit?
I could.
Because then I don't feel like I have to talk over it, but it's like good ambiance music. Sacred Scars and Soulgasms, owning your darkness to spark spiritual awakening. That's what we're talking about. Because, you know, we can't do nice, simple topics. Why would we do that?
No, and it was funny because this week has definitely been on topic. So
yes, it has. Yeah.
So
We've both been going through some things, right, as of late.
Yeah,
so now that Jeff is back, this is JP Adkins. I need to like do it the right way. I always do it backwards.
This way.
Our Freedom Jedi. Hi, Jeff. How are you today?
I am fantastic, Heather. It's so nice to see you.
It's so nice to see you.
I didn't even talk to you for most of the day. Literally, we had like 2 text messages all day.
Yeah, that's unlike us.
Yeah.
I have been kind of in my own little world this last week, trying to get my mind straight again, which really fits right on topic with my mind's never straight. I'm neurospicy, like it's never straight. So there's that part.
I'm not straight.
Well, no. I had a friend who used to say, always forward, never straight.
Yes.
Right when someone would say go straight, always forward, never straight.
Never straight.
Never straight.
Doesn't work well for me.
I don't think that it. I mean, I don't know how. I'm just a sexual being. I don't like eating pussy though. So that is where the stopping of the appreciation of the female body is that I don't.
You can always scissor.
Totally. So if I got a, one who was totally down for me not doing that, I mean, I'll do all the other things, but I want to eat you.
I got it. I have a really gross story. I'm never going to say that I have anything recorded, but if you want to hear the really gross story, let's hit me up.
I feel
probably
like
not.
If you're saying it's gross,
it is probably one of the grossest things that's ever happened to me.
If you ever heard all of Jeff and I's conversations, we wouldn't even have to be here live right now. We would not. We could have content for seasons upon seasons.
This is why we
hit the record button when we.
This is why we started doing this.
This is literally we started doing this. Yeah.
Because our conversations were like, we should be saying this out loud to people. It would be helpful.
Right, we should be telling more. But yeah, we should be having this conversation with more people. Yeah. So, hello, welcome everyone to episode number 5. Welcome. Disclaimer at the beginning of this, of course, there's always a trigger warning because you never know what's going to be said. We talk about everything. I feel like we needed to add that in there because I usually don't say that, but we do. We talk about sexual assault. We talk about drugs. We talk about alcohol. Anything that could possibly trigger you will probably be talked about on the show at some point. So abuse, all the things, as I like to say. I'm going to make a shirt that says that for the merch store. All the things.
Can you please?
All the motherfucking things.
Yes.
That's what it needs to say. All the motherfucking things.
It needs to say all the things on top, and then all the motherfucking things underneath it.
Underneath it. Because I always say all the things. Also, we are mature, 18 and older. This is adult conversation. So if you've gotten this far and you haven't figured that out, unless it's appropriate around your children and you're open that way with your kids, you might not want to listen to this in the car as you're driving down the street with your children in the car with you. Just saying. Oh, my bestie's here. Hey, beautiful.
Tina is here. Hey, gorgeous.
Hello. Oh my gosh. See, this is live. Hold on. I have to answer this and she's going to be all mad that I answered, but I don't care. Hi. Hi. Say hi to everyone. Say hi.
Hello, everyone.
That's what happens when you call on a Tuesday at 4 o'clock my time.
Well, it's like 7 o'clock my time,
I know. Let me call you later this evening.
I am planning to talk to you.
All right. I love you, baby.
I love you too.
Bye.
I love you too.
I always try to answer. It was my kid, Melissa, one of my bonus children. And she's in Pittsburgh, so she's not thinking what time it is. She's called me like 3 or 4 times today. That was the 3rd time she's called today, so I figured I might want to answer because all the other...
I see you, Tina.
Tina goes, I'm calling you.
I'll just send you the link. You can be on.
Right? You can come join us. Okay, so I guess we should get back on topic. We're going to talk about spiritual awakenings today. And so we hear a catchphrase a lot of the time. And of course, I want to get that out of the way right now, which is your shadow self, right? Like you hear this all the time about working on your shadow self. What is your shadow self? What does that even mean when they say work on your shadow self? So Jeff, I want to ask you, for you, what is the definition of your shadow self? What do you think of when you hear someone say doing shadow work or working on your shadow self?
Often for me, it's that the things that you don't necessarily want to bring up, right? It's the times that you were hurt, the statements that you made, all those little things that you kind of threw into your future. like I'm stupid, or my 16-year-old inner child that flips me off every time I talk to him, and cries because I'm not on Broadway. All the little triggers that you created over the years that you need to come to terms with, and to healing. I don't like the word healing, but complete, just have it to a space where it's no longer going to a bruise that you had to poke.
Tina says growth.
It is growth.
It is growth. It is growing, for sure. Are you ready for my definition?
Please.
So when I think of shadow work as shadow self, it's the parts of you that you hide from other people, the parts that you might be quote unquote embarrassed about, or things that you may have done that you're not so proud of. And for me, and it's making room for that stuff as part of who you are, because it is intrinsically part of who you are. Just because you aren't proud of that part of yourself doesn't make it any less part of you. And so I actually saw something beautiful. Of course, I pick these. I do not pick these right before we go on here, by the way. Like, I do pick the topics. So these are my topics to talk about. I'm in charge of that. But I pick them like 2 or 3 weeks in advance. So, so I actually picked this 2.5 weeks ago, this subject. And yesterday I saw a video that said it's making room for all the parts of yourself inside of you instead of trying to stash it outside of who you are. And I thought that was such a beautiful way to talk about it. It's like, it is making room for every bit of yourself inside.
Yeah. Because, we're not, sometimes we are the asshole.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, let's face it.
Yeah, and taking radical responsibility for who you are, for sure. See, this is what happens when you sit in the dog's spot.
I am a little too close to this wall, and there's a pillow here. I did have my plugs here, and so I couldn't sit against this wall, and I'm like, I want to sit against this wall. Let me move these plugs. So I moved the plugs and put a pillow there so I can kind of lean against the wall. He is not having it. He's like, that is my spot. I don't know what the hell you think. And so now he has to sit on top of the pillow.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So
that he's touching you, the pillow, the wall.
The whole thing.
Right, everything. That's his
So I have a good example of this, actually. Because, of course, you pick a topic, you might think she's psychic or something, and it's what we're going through that week a lot of times.
Yeah.
We end up going through it or having a really good example of this. And if you've been following along, you guys know that my dad's very ill. And my sister does the bulk of, between my sister and my niece, the bulk of my dad's needs are all taken care of. I don't do much about it. I check on him. I do, but I do when I've asked, but I don't necessarily offer any more than I have to. And lots of reasons, lots of triggers. I get it. I'm an asshole. I'll take that. And the other day, my dad went to the hospital, and I had checked on him earlier, but I kind of opened the door and I looked, and he was alive and he was breathing, and I walked away. Right. And come to find out, he had been throwing up all day and had to go to the hospital. And I really didn't walk in, really didn't do anything to fix it. And my stepmother came over, saw him, and went crazy. Was like, oh my God, call 911. He went by ambulance. And had I had walked into the room, I would have saw that probably an hour and a half earlier. and possibly could have avoided the ambulance. Not necessarily him going to the hospital. He needed to go to the hospital, but he doesn't like the hospital that's local, and we end up having to like take him there, get him stable, and then transport him ourselves to the other hospital. So,
I'm sure they love when you do that.
oh, don't they? They do so much. So yeah, I could have got him stable at least, so he could have went to the other hospital.
Went to where he wanted to go. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, and the guilt and the feelings around that, and the having to deal with that whole thing, and along with the fact that I'm still here, and coming to terms with the fact that I'm the one holding up my dream at this point. I am the one holding everything up. So
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're always the one. I mean, regardless of who you are.
right.
If you're not where you want to be in life, it's your own damn fault to some degree or another. And, and that's a hard pill to swallow as well.
I don't like that one.
Just going, right. Yeah, of going, yeah, I'm aware that I did this. You know what I mean? This is my fault or whatever.
Yeah. This is me.
Yeah. I mean, and we all play a role like that at some point in our lives. I struggled for years and years as a healer, which I've been a healer my whole life, by the way. But I really started studying energy and healing and stuff when I was 18. And I was blessed to go to this massage therapy school that was so much more than that. Massage was such the second thing, for me anyway, was secondary to all the other things that I learned. So I've been doing energy for a long time, and having a sick mother, and losing my mom when I was in my early 20s. I didn't want to be a healer for a long, long time, because if I couldn't heal my mom, then how could I call myself a healer? That's a huge one to carry with you for a very, very long time. And through this process, which is what we're going to talk about, get into a little bit, is is that it's not my job to heal you. It's my job as a healer, to guide you while you heal yourself.
And to heal you. Our job is to heal us so that we can be
Oh yeah.
We can be that healing in the world.
Well, yes, of course. Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you definitely can't be healing other people if you're not working on your own shit. That's for sure. Only there are plenty out there. So there's plenty out there.
Doesn't that suck though? You still have to work on you. You got to, and it's never just done. Can I push the button and just be done?
It's never done. And let's talk about that a little bit. So, when did you, some people have this, there is this one time in my life that my spiritual journey started, right? We know some people who have, had these.
I know.
I'm not making fun of anyone, because everyone's experience is different. But I took this amazing bath this one time in crystals with pink water. I don't know, whatever. And I have this epiphany that this is, I have this spiritual awakening. Did you have anything like that?
And I am enlightened.
And I am enlightened. Yeah,
yes.
It happened overnight. I know all the things now.
Actually, I did have a really good. I had a couple. One I didn't realize, and one I did. The one I didn't realize was a little sexual. So I was suspended in bondage, with
love a good suspension.
headphones and blindfolds, and in complete silence. And it felt like I was actually being held up by a knot in my prostate, because the reason I'm a member of the bondage club was because of this experience. No one else could possibly come close to giving me this. No one has since then,
right?
Even with the bondage club. But And I was left there. It was a forced meditation is what it was. Like, I'm in silence, noise canceling headphones, can't hear a damn thing. I have
I think my ADD
blindfolds on,
would, like, it would take me
and
a hot minute. It would take me a hot minute.
and it was really amazing. And that was probably the first one, but I didn't realize it then because I didn't have a context for it.
Right.
Then years later, more years than I'm going to admit that it was adult. In between, I was sitting on the porch. I was just learning how to meditate, and this is with Deepak Chopra before Oprah was involved in the meditation stuff when he did the 30 days meditation or whatever. I can't even remember what they are anymore. But before Oprah was there, and Oprah's with him now.
Right.
Every time they do it, it was him and like his staff in the Chopra Center, and it was amazing. And I was sitting there. I just quit smoking, and I was just starting to get my senses back from that. And I had a moment in meditation. I could smell the lavender that I was growing in the pot across from me, and I was just so grateful for everything, like that universal, like, oh moment. Like, I was thinking about how grateful I am for garbage collection and running water and like the most random ish, like, and had this completely out of body experience. And yeah, it was crazy. And then recently I had the 3 days where I was on my acid trip with no acid. So
Your spiritual acid trip.
My spiritual acid trip. That was intense. That was kind of crazy. That one I am still, every time I think about it, I'm like, did that really happen?
Yes, it did. And I was in the hospital and dealing with acid tripping Jeff while I was in the hospital.
Yeah, it was
not really acid tripping. He wasn't really acid tripping.
I have not taken drugs in many, many years. So, although I've thought about it recently, more than I have in a long time. Actually, I've been wanting to escape.
It's interesting that you say that because, of course, it is. I was, scrolling through TikTok. There was a song that someone was using, and I was like, oh, I like the lyrics to that. So I Spotify'd it, the artist, I looked it up or whatever, and I like went down this rabbit hole of, I don't know how to put it. Southern country music. It's got to be a genre of itself. I don't know what that genre is because it's been the last 24 hours I've been listening to it, but it's very like in the South drinking moonshine type of country music, which I'm digging, but it reminds me of a life that I once led. And then I think about the fact that, like, would I never, I wouldn't say that I would never. I drink. I mean, so like I do go drink occasionally. I think, I don't know. I can't say that I would never do any drugs because I feel like, but I would not do them in the capacity in which I have done in the past. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, the things I want to do are not like something that I could get as readily as.
Yeah. I feel like I would rather like because I think about like going to festivals and doing different things while I'm traveling. And then I'm like, I would rather like eat a microdose gummy or something and shroom a little bit and kind of get that euphoric feeling and be more natural than like snorting a line of coke or something like that.
I don't want coke. I don't want coke. I don't want crack, and I don't want meth. What I want these days, if I was to do anything, it would probably be some acid. Shrooms didn't do anything for me, so it'd be interesting to try them again because they didn't do anything.
Well, there's different strains like there is weed, like, so
right.
You can't, which I learned a lot about over the past couple of years of, and I don't do them very often, but I know some people.
Yeah, I
always know some people.
I was down south when I was traveling.
Yeah.
And it was one of the things. It's one of the ones that I've always wanted to do. Like literally since I was 18, I wanted to do shrooms and never did, and never. They're not in my circle, so I was down south. I was staying with my uncle, and his friend had cows.
Oh yeah,
and,
that's a great place to find them. Yeah,
and had mushrooms, and he was going out of town for like 2 weeks, and had a bag of mushrooms.
Oh goodness,
that were going to go bad. They were all ready, and everything was like literally this whole big bag.
Right.
And he said, "My uncle, here, just take them, do with what you want to do, sell them, use them, whatever."
Right.
And he decided they was going to keep them. And so I grabbed it. I grabbed a couple and tried it, because I was, and so it didn't do anything the first night at all, like not even a little bit. I was all ready, had the meditation ready, was getting ready to go and, just go and have this trip, right?
A
purposeful, right. This whole thing, nada.
That sucks.
So the next day, I grab a handful of them because maybe I didn't take enough.
That could happen. No, it could have been you got bunk shrooms too. I mean,
everyone else tripped. That was on it, so it was probably just me.
The first time I ever did, I had a really enjoyable time, though. I wanted to go do stuff, and I wasn't allowed because my friend and his wife were tripping too, and she was not having a good time. And so she wanted him to like lay in the bed with her, and I'm like, I want to go on an adventure. And he's like, you cannot just go on an adventure outside. We were in like the desert in Arizona, he's like, yeah, babe, you're by the river, like you can't just go on. I mean, we were far enough away from the river that I would have been okay, but he's like, you can't be going outside high, like tripping. And then I find I like and then I've done them a couple of times with another friend of mine over the past couple of years, and it's a tricky line for me because if I do too much and I start throwing up, then I'm nauseous and I just want to lay down, and that's no good for me. And then I'm just like under the sheet where it's dark because I'm seeing colors, and then I open my eyes and everything does the and I can't hang with that. So I live in a state where it is they are legal. And because all things sin here, and so I can go up the street to the smoke shop and buy like gummies, and they have THC and they're THC and microdose mix, and I really like those. I think those are fun. They're just like chill, and they give me a nice euphoric feeling, and and stuff. I wouldn't call it spiritual awakening though. I don't know. I mean, I guess I probably had a couple times in my life when I was doing massage therapy school, there was a couple times doing energy work where I was like, oh wow. And I had the same teacher for like my polarity class, which is all about energy, and then my shiatsu class, which was all about the meridians and the energy flow of the body. Imagine that I would 30 years later be working with chakras. I wonder where that little tidbit got. Anyway, where I had some moments in there where it was like, oh, this is super powerful and stuff like that. But I haven't, and with my own spiritual advisor, where like we decided one evening, he's like, you have such incredible energy. He saw so much potential in me years ago that took me a very long time to see myself. And so like the one night that he decided he wanted to see if he could attune me to Reiki all in one sitting, all 3 levels of Reiki energy. And he goes, most people can't attune that quickly to it. And I was attuned in like 20 minutes. And he's like, I've never, and like the whole room was like expanded out, and we were like in my dad's spare room, and the whole room was expanded out, and it was just like all I could feel and see was energy, and it was a phenomenal experience. Yeah. But again, it took me like a long time to get back in that space for myself, right? Of finding my own spirituality. And that goes back to that very first podcast that we talked about, where I said I didn't have any real guidance in that department.
Yeah.
You know? And then
Yeah,
at the end of the day, when my dad was passing, my stepmom says, well, you know, he's worried that he's going to go to hell. I'm like, what? I didn't even realize like that he even still believed in that dynamic. And, you know, my dad was a great man, though. He was a great, great man. I was like, but we have last rites and stuff done for him because of that. So it's interesting of people's spirituality that at the end, how prepared are they or how they feel.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand that to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Growing up, because he grew up like very much like I did, where it was kind of expected, right? That's the religion you grew up in, and it was kind of fed, and then you have this fear, you know.
Yeah.
One of the things about Christianity is that it's based in fear.
Right.
You know, you do this.
If you do not do these things,
you shall perish.
You'll be damned. Right.
You'll be damned.
And you're damned to hell. Right. You're yeah. I mean, that's like, can I just say I'm so thankful that I did not grow up that way. So like, I'm really blessed I would rather have had to just figure it out myself than to have to undo a bunch of stuff. But then it took me a long time to just go, I think I believe all of it. I think there's some truth in all of it. And it started with me just going, I don't want to pick a side. I had a friend who used to drive her crazy. Why don't you pick a side? And I'm like, I don't want to. I want to see it from all the sides. I don't want to pick one side or the other because I don't think either one of you are right.
Right. And you both are.
Yeah. But doing shadow work and going on this spiritual awakening, right? So we have these beautiful stories, right? I have these moments of, oh, I mean, I had one a couple weeks ago. I don't know when it was. I don't even know how. It was last month sometime. That's all I can tell you. Where I could tell you if I looked back on the date because I know when it was. So Jeff had just gotten done with his retreat. He had this big, huge moment at his retreat. So you didn't even talk about that where you went to.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I could definitely talk about that whole moment too. Yeah.
Mastermind, right? Is it Mastermind, right?
Yeah, I went to
Mastermind.
Yeah, with my mastermind, they had a event, and it was, so my business partner, one of my business partners was there, and I met him in person the last time we were there. So everything else has been online. And then he put his hand on me. And in that moment, life changed. I jumped timelines. It's the only way to explain that. And everything was real. Like, it all became real again. So it was, that was, and all weekend I was outgoing. I was completely energized. I was a bunny, like crazy, like talking to people, talking to everybody, telling them how amazing they are, telling how amazing I was. And which is really hard for me too.
And owning how amazing you are.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about talking about it. It's about owning that energy that comes along with it.
Yeah, it was, but I had just done the Reiki stuff. So I just finished all the Reiki.
No, you did that after.
I did the certifications after. The Reiki stuff I did before, I think.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't even know. That's
I don't remember. We were, that was that whole period.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
I did do it after. With him. You did do it after.
Because so it's
there. Like, no, because you did it while I was in the hospital, and I was like, "Oh, this is a great time for you to do this."
Yeah, when I have no control and no energy, like even like contain what's going on. Yeah,
it was fantastic. But so he came to me and he was like, "This is how this is what's going on," and blah. I had this epiphany, and he's telling me about his weekend. And I was doing my daily card pull, which I am going to get back to you guys. I do miss the ritual of it, to be honest. You know, I talk about my daily ritual, and I have not done that in consistently since I've been out of the hospital, and I can feel the difference, by the way. So I sat down to pull a card, and I was like, oh, that's great, Jeff. You know, good for you. Like, you're stepping into who you are. I've been telling you this whole fucking time.
Good boy.
Well, because like, I'm like, well, no fucking shit, dude. This is what I've been telling you this like for 2 years now. And then I pulled a card, and I honestly do not remember what card it was that I pulled, but I pulled this card, and I legit like saw all of it, because like I know what's gonna eventually happen. So like I know, you know, it's like I know where my future is headed. I just don't have the details of how I'm gonna get to that point. And then there was just like this clear vision of all these things, and I was like, oh, Jeff, thanks for getting on the right timeline so that I could fully step into mine, right? And then when I was in the hospital, so I mean, I've had some major moments, and then in the hospital, I was super sick, you guys. You know, for 9 days I was in the hospital, and I was in the ER for a week of that. And you can't heal yourself in the ER. I was so overstimulated. I'm neurospicy, so like I didn't even sleep the first 3 days I was there. I just sat in the bed and was like, they were pumping me full of steroids and albuterol, and I was amped out for like 3 days. And so I finally got my room, and it was nice and quiet. And when I could finally like decompress from everything, and the whole time I'm like, if I could heal myself, if I just knew what it was, right? That was what I kept saying. If I just knew, they could just give me a diagnosis. And I laid down, and I put my music on that I listened to ambient music, atmospheric music, brainstorms, that sort of thing. And I went to go to bed, and I laid back, and I called my soul back to me, my higher self, and I called my energy back, and I called in all my guides, guardians, everybody, my ancestors, the whole gang. And I said, whatever this is inside of me, I need you. I need your help. I need you to take it. And, you know, I asked them for help a lot, but not like this. This was like I need you. This wasn't just could you help me out with this? This is like, I need you right now. And it was like I had just these light, I could see their figures. They were just light beings, just surrounded my bed, and then it just extended out like infinity. It was just, and there was so much love in that moment, and I could see this green blobby goo in my forefront, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, and it's green, and it like, you know, and I don't even know how long it was there. I don't know how long I was laying there. And then all of a sudden my alarm went off, and I could hear it, my oxygen. And I was like, oh, and I took a couple of deep breaths and then I was like, okay, but it was so far away. It was like in the distance. And the orb turned green and yellow, and then it like dissipated, you know. And then I came to a little bit, and then they came in and like did my vitals, which was like a totally off time for them to do it, you know, and everything. But yeah, it was really kind of crazy. So those are the more recent ones that I have had. I've had a lot of breakthroughs this week as well, right? But we talk about how it's all rainbows and wonderfulness, and we have these spiritual awakenings. It fucking sucks, people. When you start doing the work, it is not easy. This is a super messy process to awaken and unlearn all the things that no longer serve us. Because that's what it's really about, right? Is unlearning and forgiving and letting go of the things that no longer serve your higher good, your higher self.
Yeah, I mean, even this week, you know, just dealing with, I've had a lot of thwarted intention, you know, and that's what it comes down to. I don't feel like I'm where I wanted to be. It's not and there's a reason why I'm here. Now I'm here purposefully. I have to remind myself I'm here on purpose. I'm here to see my nieces graduate. Once they graduate, I'm probably leaving. You know, I don't have a timeline now. Let me, you know, let me stop fighting with myself. Let me, I have some time. I know. Let me, Heather's like, when will you, are you doing that? Can I mark that on the calendar when you're going to stop fighting
No, I
with
have
him?
proof. I have proof. We are live. This is recording, and this will forever be in the books because I've been telling him this for like a year now. I'm like, quit making a plan, dude. Quit making a plan. Quit being disappointed. Quit saying I have to be out of here by,
Yeah.
I need
Well,
to. I have to. I
it's
can't
just such
stand
a,
it.
yeah, I really can't stand it. I really do want to be out of here. And I really want, like, this weekend, I'm probably going back out to Adrian, if at all possible. So
Yeah.
tomorrow I'm actually going to drive the RV because, yeah, there's a whole thing. But dealing with those parts of you and that disappointment. And so what is it that's disappointing me? Okay, well, the disappointment is that no one's looked at the thing to find out where it's leaking, to do all that. So then you have to go, well, why can't you? I can find out where it's leaking. I might not be able to fix it, but I can find where it's leaking. And so today I was doing that. Well, the other day, what set off the whole thing the other day was that I went to go try it and my battery didn't start. And, because that's how life lives, right? Life lives.
That's how life lives. Yeah.
Life lives. And you have to kind of deal with that. Then you have to, instead of throwing the pity party that you really want to throw, because I gave myself 10 minutes of motherfucker, what, I can't believe that you're going to not start. I'm finally in a space where I'm going to check it myself. I'm going to finally do this. I'm getting over myself and going to do it. And you're not going to start? Are you kidding me? So, yeah, doing all the things. And I got to do some of that today. I'm feeling a little more positive. I think maybe it's because it was too damn cold. And so I had some shrinkage in a pipe somewhere.
Damn it. I hate when that happens.
I know. I hate when there's shrinkage. So hopefully it's not too cold tonight. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, I'm.
Did you ever have a time where, like, can you pick a time where you really started to heal? Like, I mean, because it is a lifelong journey. You're always evolving and growing, or at least I hope you are. I shouldn't say you always are, because that's not quite true. We get stagnant at points. But is there, like, do you have a time frame? I was thinking about this today. That's why I asked. Like, of when you were like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, something has got to change. And maybe I don't know what that looks like in the moment, but there has to be more.
Oh, mm-hmm. The major one I could think of is I actually told this story live today on my Facebook. Guys, I grew up working for Pizza Hut. I worked for Pizza Hut many years, corporate restaurants, and I kept leaving and coming back because Pizza Hut, I know everybody, I know everything. It's comfortable. It's easy. I make decent money, decent enough money. And so I left Pizza Hut the one time, and right before I left, I had sent up a job description to corporate. 2 years later, they rolled it out exactly as I wrote it, like literally almost word for word. And so my friend, she goes, "Do you want your job?" Like, and so I took it. Of course, I went back to Pizza Hut. And this is probably like the fourth cent, I don't know, time I went back to Pizza Hut. Total, I've worked there for over 30 years. So, to give you an idea. And
you had to have started really young working there.
I did. I was 16.
I forget that we're that close in age. I always want to make you younger.
I know. You can keep making me younger. It's okay.
You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. So
only if I trade it in a shrink. Exactly.
They put me back into a restaurant. So I did a really good job. Donated $2.5 million to the Detroit Zoo. Got to do like all the things. Won every award known to man. And of course, made this market very nice for a buyer. So they sold us into franchise. Right? Well, the franchisee says, I don't need your job. Not realizing that I was the reason why this all happened.
Right. It was a bit, right. How, right. You were available. Right.
Right. And so they put me back into a store. So they put me in a store that's underperforming. I do a really good job. I double sales in a year and a half. I had the highest customer service scores in the market. Like hit every number. Every hoop they wanted me to jump through. Right. And I went to Mississippi, and my cousin was getting married, and she lived on the Gulf Coast, like literally like 2 blocks from the beach.
Nice.
And there was a house 3 houses down from the beach for $450 a month.
Oh.
Rent. And I said, yes, please. And I would go back to a corporate position, which gives me my original hire date, which gave me like a stupid raise. Like we're talking like $10,000 raise a year,
right,
by moving there. And I told my boss this, and he's like, no, you can't leave. Let's make a deal. And he put me into a restaurant because the manager was going to retire. And it was just a really bad fit working together. She was amazing. She was a wise and old woman that was stuck in her ways. And I came in doing things different because that's what it took to actually.
Right. Well, yeah. If you want to do, yeah, you're always going to get what you've always gotten if you always do what you've always done. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten.
Yeah. And this story was a mess. Absolute mess.
Yeah.
The employees, the customers, there was a girl that kept saying that I was sexually harassing her. Sweetie, not on your best day.
Right.
Not on
maybe
your
on
best
my
day.
best day.
On your best day, me and you have a case. Anyone that's ever had a case against me that could possibly say that I sexually harassed them, there were people. Like I was never perfect, right? There are people that could absolutely say that, and I would just have to say.
So yes, what happened with Pizza Hut that made you like look for more? I mean, obviously, so
so that's all to say that I got to the point where I went to kill myself.
Ooh.
I could tell you that where I was going to do it, how I was going to do it, how much the biohazard fees were going to cost.
Wow, you really
Yes. That's
more than most people think about it.
I was because we had this really cool dry storage room that wasn't in a lot of them. It was like this closet that no one else had. And it was right in front of the door where you came in every morning. So literally I would have sliced my neck with the box cutter and spun around like a chicken so that I contaminated all the boxes and all the dry storage until I died. And just fell out.
That's a lot going on there.
Yeah. And I could tell you what it would feel like. Like it was that vivid. And then I realized I don't have to fucking work here. I don't have to work here. I don't have to work at Pizza Hut. I don't. Okay. So I went and found a couple more clients. I don't
need to laugh, but I just have a whole visual right now.
You know, like, you know me when
I
it
do.
finally hit
That's
that,
why I could laugh at you. Like
right,
I don't. Nothing about this is funny
right.
except like I just
Because you can see me, you know, spin around because I was pissed off and I'm like, you know, squirting,
right.
you know, blood all over, you know. And then, so I want you to picture this moment. I realize I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm in the store, like,
Yeah, like you're ready to do this.
you know, I was counting shit in the closet because one of the last things I had to do was go in that closet and count, right? Every night. And I'm in there and I'm like, I don't have to work here. Like, I'm thinking all these things. I'm like, I'm all into this whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have to be here. I don't know where I'm going to be, but I don't have to be here. I end up making more money as an entrepreneur. The first 2 years I left Pizza Hut, I actually made more than I made at Pizza Hut. Doing book covers and stuff like that. It was like the most random. I did random all over.
Yes, change makes changes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that was something has to change.
Yeah.
Something has to change. Something has to change now. And then, the next one was when, after Eddie left, after Eddie was gone and everything was going crazy, and I felt like I was a second-hand character in my mother's life because I was taking care of her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? And I went to meditation, and it said, it's clear as me and you are sitting here talking, getting an RV and go.
Right.
It took me 5 years to actually do it from that point because I couldn't just get an RV and go in.
Right. But that's
And
where
maybe-
it started.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when it started. And now I'm here and I'm in the RV and I got to travel some and I'm going to travel again.
Yeah.
And then now I'm getting the center. And
Huge thing.
it's huge. And my sister was shocked today. She goes, I showed her the plans for the center, the actual center itself. And she goes, oh my God, that's really gorgeous. And then my mom goes, how are you paying for this? I'm like, I have promises of over $150,000 at this point. I'm the one holding this back.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to get out. And she goes, what? You have that much money? I'm like, yeah. You guys, because my family sees me as being here and in this space. I'm like, no, you guys don't understand who I really am. That's why I had to leave.
I get that feeling. I totally understand that feeling in so many ways. Yeah. I would have to say mine started, like I've been thinking about this. I think back in 2010, 2011, when I started teaching and I was like, I wanted to get out of Vegas. I've been trying to get out of here my whole life. I always envied those people that were like single and just traveled and, I had this friend, we called her Crazy Pam for a reason. But she was like so carefree, and not that I wanted to be her, but like, she would tell these crazy stories of like going to Mardi Gras and losing her friends. Not that would totally freak me out, by the way, not the point of the story, but it was the idea that like, oh, I would love to like go gypsy life or whatever. So in 2011, I went to Washington for like 6 weeks, and that wasn't where it was at. So my daughter and I went to Kansas and hung out with some friends for the rest of the school year. And then I came back to Vegas, which was not the plan, but I ended up back here and I was like, okay, there's a reason. And the reason was that my dad got really sick. And I met that guy that my ex-husband, that one time when I was married for a minute. And that whole time I knew that like there was more. I knew that there was, that I needed to be doing something. I just wasn't sure what it was. Then after my dad passed away, my husband and I had split up. My dad passed away and I moved to Colorado. which was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my whole life. As much as my kid can like hated it. I don't know if she hated it. I mean, she loved being in Colorado, so there was that part. But like, we did move around a lot as a single mom. We moved to different places and stayed with different people and stuff. And I always ended up going back to the medical field because it was easy for me. And then the last teaching job I got, which is where the major healing started, was they drug tested me beforehand, and of course I came back positive for marijuana. And not that they were surprised, and not that it was a big deal, which I really loved, because at the time I was on a lot of narcotics as well, like prescribed medication. And I thought, that is what you're worried about, is that I smoke some weed before I come into work. Like, but I could come in on Xanax and Flexerils and oxycodone, like instant release oxycodone. Like, they didn't care about that, but they cared that I smoked some weed. So they were like, HR goes, well, we have this program that if you go to therapy, addiction therapy, then and the idea was for me to go to therapy and of course then pee for them later, right? Like, that was the idea. And then they gave up on that because my therapist was like, well, I'm never going to clear you to pee, because I had to like finish the program or whatever, right? And she goes, well, that's never going to happen, because I go, well, I can stop smoking, but if I stop smoking, then I'm going back on the narcotics. Like that's how that's going to work. And I went to addiction therapy, and it kicked my ass, because I don't do anything like normal people do, because why would I? So not only did I go once a week just for myself for an hour, all about me, but then I did a group therapy where she had a whole program, and we had a book that we went through and worked out all of our stuff, which then left me raw. It truly just left me raw. Like every reason why I used, it tracked, one of our exercises was to actually track, like, when was your drug use the highest, and then what life events were going on at that time, like, right? So then you map out your life events, and then you map out your usage, and then I'm like, oh, that's not pretty. And after a year of doing that, I was pretty tore up. And I had no coping skills for all of this. I was just super, super self-aware. I became super, super self-aware. And then I was like, okay, I need to figure this out. And because I can't walk around feeling like this anymore. And so then I started doing the work, and I started at the bottom and worked my way up, which we're going to get really into next week, because we're going to...
It started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yeah. We're going to talk about blooming from your bruises, right? When you have... it's not linear. Healing is not linear. Accepting yourself for who you are is not a linear process. So this is, now I'm going on 5 years, and really at the end of the day, I've been seeking this for 13 years now, where like I knew there was something else. And, so from that point on, I've been growing and growing and growing and growing to where I am now. And accepting myself for really who I am. Like, I'm a vibe, people. I'm like this all the time, by the way. I always wear funky pants. I'm a vibe when I go out. I went out with my friend on Sunday, and it's funny because I have to accept that about myself. I raise the vibration. When I walk in a room, everyone knows I'm in that room. Everyone knows there has been a disturbance in the force when I walk in the room, because I'm elevating that room in some way, shape, or form. I'm a lot of energy to handle, and I make people uncomfortable with my energy, and I'm perfectly okay with that. But it took me a really long time to to accept that I energetically take up space. So then I physically take up space. So now I'm working to be the opposite of that, right? Because then for a long time I hid that part of myself. And so then I physically took up space. Because, you know, when you don't deal with things, it manifests physically in you, which is one of the things I work on a lot of physical ailments. And where did that come from? Where, you know, where in your body is that? What blockages do you have in order to have those physical? And I do them on myself too. So if you think that I'm out here not doing the work, Jeff and I have conversations about this all the time where I'm like, okay, and I'm constantly reevaluating myself and what could this be and how can I deal with this and what chakra is this and how do I need to work on that? Because healing is growing and accepting yourself. And I say growing because you're really growing and making that room, like I said at the beginning, making room for all parts of yourself. You know, Sunday I went to lunch with a friend of mine and I love skirts. I love a good long maxi skirt. I just had a tank top on and a skirt and a pair of flip-flops. Nothing, my hair was actually just like this. And I walked out and she goes, "Oh my God, you look so adorable today." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." You know, and she was like, "You're all fancy and dressed up." And I'm, you know, now I feel underdressed because she was in like jean shorts and a t-shirt. And I go, "Oh, I'm wearing a skirt and a tank top. Like ain't nothing fancy about what's going on here, you know." It's just a vibe. I'm just a vibe.
Funny story about that. On Thursday, I wore my new harem pants, the ones with the
the guru pants. I call them
the guru pants. Yeah, and with that and a shirt that made sense with it. I don't know what I was wearing, to be honest with you, because it doesn't really matter. But right. And I had the robe. Yeah.
Gotta love the robe. You can have anything on under the robe.
Right. And it looked good. I mean, I was color coordinated. It was, you know, what it was supposed to be. And someone said, "So what is this getup about?" And I'm like,
"What is this getup about?"
And he goes, "Yeah, where are these pants?" I'm like, "Well, technically they'd be kind of a yoga pant. And since I am certified to teach yoga at this point, not that I ever would, you guys never have to worry about me ever teaching yoga. It is probably never going to happen."
It's not.
Well, I can't say that because I do things now that I would never say I would do, but I can promise you that it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Right.
How's that? How's that for
because of his other certifications, yoga falls under
this stuff.
Yeah, those other things, right?
So, I mean, I might teach you an asana here or there, but it's an asana. It's not a.
It's not a whole.
It's not a whole thing. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. We're not doing that game. So he's like, "Really? Just..." And then I thought for a minute, and I got in the car. This is right. I was leaving too, and I thought about it for a second. And I was like, I don't even feel bad about that. Like I didn't. It was like, okay, all right, you didn't get it. Whatever. I wasn't even wearing anything that crazy.
Where I got where my being self-conscious about, because just by telling myself you're a vibe, it's okay, you're a vibe, and to just be my own vibe, which is a beautiful thing. And there's a freedom in that, a freedom in saying, I just am who I am, and you can like me or leave it. I don't give a shit, But my dad used to say to me, this is something that came up for me this week, was the past couple of days, was my dad used to, and I'm neurospicy, so there are some times where I don't get sarcasm at all. I don't get it. You have to really be dripping with sarcasm for me to get your sarcasm. And my dad, and part of that is probably because my dad is deadpan when he's being when he was being sarcastic, and he would fuck with people, but he could do it just so straight faced that you would never know. And so he used to say to me, "You know what, kid? I like you. I don't care what those other people say about you." Right. And he, of course, was joking about, that he just loved me for who I was. It was a joke. He was not serious about it. And I know logically that he was not serious about it. But I remember as a kid going, what do you mean? Who's saying what about me? Because I really thought when I was little that people were saying bad things about me. And that despite all of that, my dad still liked me. And I was like, oh my good, that's wow. Like something so innocent, so little that would stick with you like that, And now a life-changing quote for me is other people's opinions of me are none of my business. Right?
Yeah.
Other people's opinions of you are none of your business. Because
There.
they don't know what you go through. They don't know how your brain works. Like no one does. No one does.
Nope. All right, love. What do you have going on this week? Are you coming back live yet? Are you still healing? Are you still working?
I don't know. I don't know. I know I want to go live. I just am not sure what that's going to be yet. I want to talk about more than just pulling cards for people. It's all the in between. Like I don't mind the pulling of the cards, but it's all the in between stuff and the dropping of the wisdom that I like, So, I do have openings though. If you want to schedule a one-on-one, I love doing one-on-one sessions. I love doing one-on-one card pulls with people, and or having soul sessions with them where we start breaking down why you don't love yourself so that you can love yourself, right? And where did that come from? And I just hold sacred space. So I do have those available. If you would like, you can hit the link in my bio, find me on all social medias, Living Oracle Wellness. That's how you find me. Everywhere. And you can instant message me, or you can hit the link in my bio everywhere and for the link.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Set up
and they are in spiritualsexandcandy.com. You can find both of our
our links are in there as well. Yeah. Duh.
Yep.
Sorry,
Right
I
there.
need to. I know.
I know I'm not used to it either.
Many places, and I'm creating new merch. We have merch, and so same spiritualsexandcandy.com. Go to the bottom of the page, and there's a link where you can go buy our amazing merch. Which, by the way, you need to. The logo sweatshirts are this season's logo sweatshirts and t-shirts. So once the next season starts, those will go bye-bye. So if you love the purple lips, then you need to go buy your merch now, because when the second season starts, we're going to have a different set of lips for next season and new colors for merch and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's going to be amazing. And guys, you have until the 5th.
The 5th, Sunday.
The 5th, Sunday.
Yeah, this Sunday, midnight.
Sunday to register for the contest. All that information is on Spiritual Sex and Candy, but basically it comes down to you need to go to your favorite podcasting platform. You have to listen to an episode, either this week's or last week's, and get the secret word. This week's secret word
orgasmically.
Orgasmically. And because that's what Heather said. And so that needs to be in the subject line. I need a screenshot that you actually listened and you're subscribed, and share this podcast with other people so that we can definitely get this out there. We're on all the podcasting platforms, and the first 2 weeks are imperative, guys. So we really do need your help.
Yeah.
So I pulled a card. Did you?
I did not. So you could go first. But I do want to say before we do that, one of our words for this week is soulgasm. And those beautiful moments that we were talking about, those are those soulgasms. Those are, and when you start really living your authentic self and you are accepting of all yourself and you've made all the room for yourself, that is when those soulgasms come more often, because you're open to receiving them.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we were talking about with even the 3 days, the acid trip. I call it my
Yeah.
acid trip. That moment when Spencer hit me, just put his, he didn't hit me. He put his hand on my shoulder.
Yeah.
That whole thing was just, that's a soulgasm. But
Yeah.
I did pull the perfect card for tonight. I didn't mean to.
Go for it. Well, of course,
But
it's a perfect card. It always is.
It's always is, because that's how the universe works, right? So I pulled the Crown Prince of Wands. Okay, so where are you trying to prove that you're perfect? Where are you trying to prove that your life is perfect? Everything's so great. Everything's wonderful. Everything you are, everything, you got everything all together. And we're really, you don't. You just don't. Right? No one does. No one does. So the Crown Prince of Wands is really about, looking at your talents. You're super talented. You're super artistic. You are amazing. You don't have anything to prove to motherfucking anyone.
Yeah.
You hear me? You got nothing to prove. So that is the message from me this week. How about you?
I love it. I pulled balance. We're all looking for a little more balance in our life in some way, shape, or form. This conversation was about balancing the lighter parts of ourselves with the darker parts of ourselves and finding a balance within that, which is so beautiful. And if you feel like you're stuck in the darkness, reach out to someone who will balance you out with some of their light, because there's always someone in your life that can help you out to light your spark up again. And through this healing process and the growth that you have, trust me, you will find a beautiful balance within the two, because you can look at the dark parts of yourself and go, that bitch is fucking amazing, right? I'm like, that is one fierce ass bitch right there that went through all those things and survived all of those things. And that badass bitch is me as well, right? And all the soft, loving growth that you do, right? And there's definitely that balance there,
Yeah. Thank you for being that person
peace among the chaos.
Yeah. Thank you for being one of the people for me that can balance my darkness.
It's a pleasure. It truly is an honor. It's an honor. I say that to my clients all the time. I have one. I just had a conversation with, shout out to Lindsay, who always comes back and tells me the amazing growth that she's doing. And she comes and gets readings from me all the time. She buys readings for other people. She gifts them to people. I love it. I love you, Lindsay. I know you're going to listen to this at some point. But one of the most beautiful things is to be able to just watch someone bloom and blossom into the beautiful flower that they are, that uniqueness, of who they are, and be able to just say that I assisted in their journey with them on that. It's such an honor.
No matter who you are, you are part of that, but you personally are one of the people for me. So thank you.
You're welcome. It's a privilege to be able to be a part of it, to be honest.
Yeah. You're stuck with me.
Well,
forever.
Thank you all for listening to us this evening. And next week we are blossoming from bruises, and we're going to talk about really the dirty parts and the lowest parts, and really what that looks like, right? We touched base a little bit today on just, I'm going to talk about cleaning out the wounds. I'm going to talk about cleaning out my wounds next week.
Yeah, it's gonna be ouch.
Yeah. And where I was at when that started to happen.
He is trying to crawl back over to his corner, and he's very mad at me because I moved his corner. All right, I look forward to it. I look forward to talking about it. I got some things to help you out with that too. Yay! Actually, on this one, I have some practical things to help you out with this. I'm not even gonna go into the woo woo. I'll let Heather do woo woo. I'll do the practical. You do the woo woo on this one.
Woo woo is such a derogatory statement.
It's not a derogatory statement. It is
meant to be a derogatory.
Is
I know
it
that's
really?
not how you mean it, but
No, not at all. Not at all. It's just the things that you can't explain logically. I don't know. I can explain it logically now.
Yeah.
I have the training to explain this logically now. I couldn't actually. Most people
to
can.
step into his.
I just have really good when it comes to this. I do have some really good practical techniques. So
I can't wait to
I'm
talk
looking forward
about
to
it.
I know.
I love each and every one of you. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us.
Yay! Love you guys. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.